There's a certain kind of movie that the word success doesn't even begin to describe. It transcends the medium. It rewires something in our brains. It becomes less of a film and more of a cultural phenomenon. That's where this series lives. Welcome to The Greats, where we step away from the overlooked, the forgotten, and the questionable, and turn our focus towards the films that didn't just define a moment, they defined everything that came after. Tonight, we start with a filmmaker whose shadow stretched across modern cinema like no other, Steven Spielberg. Before he became the architect of blockbuster storytelling, before the name alone could sell a movie, Spielberg was a young director in the 1970s, cutting his teeth on television. He directed one of the earliest episodes of Columbo, not the later TV movies, but the original run that helped define prestige television before that term even existed. And then he changed everything. In 1975, Jaws was released and created the modern blockbuster. It was suspense, it was spectacle, it was fear that you could feel. A film so precise, so controlled, that even now it feels untouchable. But Spielberg didn't stop there, and he never has. Over the next 5 decades, he built a filmography that reads less like a resume and more like a cultural blueprint. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan. Different genres, different tones, different eras, and yet all unmistakably his. Which brings us to tonight's film, E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Now, if you're expecting us to build suspense about whether this movie matters, we're not going to waste your time. Because E.T. wasn't just successful, it was a phenomenon. At the height of its run, it stayed in theaters for over a year and a half, roughly 82 weeks. It became, for a time, the highest grossing film ever made. It crossed generations. Kids saw wonder, adults saw something deeper. And it didn't do it with spectacle alone. Yes, the effects were groundbreaking. Yes, the iconography, like the bike across the moon, is burned into film history. But that's not why it endured. E.T. works because it's small. At its core, this is not a movie about aliens. It's a movie about loneliness, about childhood, specifically that strange, fragile moment where the world starts to feel bigger than we can understand. Spielberg took something fantastical and made it painfully intimate. A suburban home, a fractured family, and a boy who feels unseen. And then he introduced something impossible. It wasn't a threat, but it was a mirror. The friendship between Elliot and E.T. isn't built on special effects. It's built on the recognition they share. Two beings completely different, finding the same emotional language. Fear, curiosity, and the need to not be alone. That's why this movie had the impact it did. That's why it is still referenced today. Because underneath the science fiction, underneath the wonder, E.T. the Extraterrestrial is one of the most human films ever made. And tonight we're going to break down exactly why. This is The Greats, and this is E.T. There you go. Spoilers to what I think about the movie. But welcome to the first episode of The Greats. So we had been talking with the Dread broadcast going how it's going, which is going great, doing 13 Nights of Halloween was a chore and it was a lot of work. So, what we decided to replace 13 Nights of Halloween with is every time a month has 5 Wednesdays, that fifth Wednesday will be dedicated to the masterpieces of cinema, the people who changed the way movies are made. So it could be like our next one is The Breakfast Club. And that's not exactly because the director is changed the way things were done, but John Hughes changed the way movies were written for sure. So we're addressing that. We've got Alfred Hitchcock, but we're starting off with Steven Spielberg and E.T. So we're not doing this alone. Got Jonathan, as always. Jonathan.
Yo, what's up, everybody?
And we have Kelsey from Kelsey's Nostalgic Life. This is a perfect choice for you.
Yes, I mean, I love nostalgia. What is more nostalgic than Sweet E.T.? I love the movie so much. Not trying to spoil my own thoughts, but, you know, it's pretty great, but I'll get into it more later.
Did you read the novelization?
No, but I want to really bad. Did you?
No, I saw some things about it in my research for this episode, and I'll mention it as we go.
But, yeah, I'd like to know more about it, because I would love to read it one day.
Yeah. And then we've also got David from Journey with a Cinephile, who was just with us for the He-Man movie. Very different type of movie, but David, glad to have you here.
Yeah, sticking with the old sci-fi, but this one, yeah, a little bit, a little bit better, I would say, with some of the stuff they're doing.
Just a little bit. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the story. I kind of... Spoilers on how I see the story was in that intro there. But so I'm going to let you guys go ahead. Who wants to jump in? David, how do you feel? So this was a first time watch for you. How would you feel kicking it off?
Oh.
And I'm very interested to hear from your first time. So also, my first time was as a kid. This was one of my dad's favorite films. My dad loved this movie. He had a little E.T. stuffed doll that scared the poop out of me as a child because it was creepy. It was a creepy doll. It was a creepy doll. And then even as a kid, like the final act of this film scared the crap out of me when the government shows up. Yeah. And so I didn't watch it again for like 30 years. Then I did, and I was like, oh my God. So David, haven't seen it for the first time. I'd love to hear what you think.
Yeah, I can definitely start off. It's kind of interesting because even though I had never seen this movie, I knew just so much of it, and I'll kind of come back to that as one of the later type things. But it's kind of just funny how many like promo videos you'll see for like whether it's going to a theater or going to see something that there are scenes taken from it or just different things that I just know. So, like, for the story, I was kind of curious because I knew that there was going to be, obviously, these kids trying to help him, like, trying to help E.T. get back to, like, his people and everything. But I didn't realize kind of how much of it was going to be about the family. And that's what really kind of sucked me in, was just kind of seeing, kind of what you said in the opening video, about how you have this family that is broken because the husband has left. And you have this mother with 3 children, and how Elliot being the middle child, I think, kind of plays into it a little bit, where he's not the baby. His older brother has his group of friends, and he's really kind of just isolated. And then he has this symbiotic relationship that starts with this alien, and then just how that kind of blossoms, and how he almost bridges the gap between all of his siblings, and even helping his mother out with some of the stuff that kind of happens that really was heartfelt and really touching.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Jump on in. Kelsey?
I love the story. It is so heartfelt, as David said, and I cry every time I see this movie. That's why
I'm going to cry during this.
I have not watched it or rewatched it as much as a movie like Jaws, but I think it is, in my opinion, just as good, if not better than Jaws. I just don't watch it as often because I don't want to cry my eyes out like all the time, you know? I just like save that for special occasions. So I have seen it a lot, but I just don't rewatch it as often as some of my other all-time favorites. But I think it stands the test of time because there is something innocent at the core of this movie. Something that touches, you mentioned it in the intro, children and adults alike. It's just something universal. It's about more than just aliens and, oh, this is cool. It's about the emotion between E.T. and Elliot and the feeling of home and what is home and what home means to you. And especially at a time where Elliot's idea of home was changing because his father's no longer there, I think that concept is so prevalent in the movie. And it's almost like E.T. is helping figure out for him what his new version of home is. And it just sucks at the end that, like, he really wants E.T. to be in this new version of his home, to stay with him and be like a permanent fixture of his home, but he's got to go back to his own home. And it's just so heart-wrenching, but beautiful in a way. I don't know. I love it so much.
I completely agree. Jonathan.
So I just got done watching this like a couple hours ago, and this is the first time I've watched this movie since I was a kid. Like, this movie came out the year before I was born, because I was in '83. So, like, I remember seeing this when I was in, like, first grade, when, like, 5 years old, and not watching it as an adult, I'm like, wow, man. Like, I kind of identify with a lot of the home situation, because it was just me, my older brother, me as the middle child, and then my little sister. So, and I watched this, I kept thinking back, like, man, was I as annoying as Elliot when I was that age? Like, damn, probably. Ugh. Man. But still, very heartwarming film, and it's the nostalgia, Kelsey, man. The nostalgia hits hard.
It hits hard. Yeah.
My God.
I mean, the Star Wars references are pretty fun. Now, I will say, our friend of the show, Sean, has an interesting take. If you go look on Letterboxd and read his review of E.T., it isn't the most glowing because of some of he said, paraphrasing, a lot of the movie was like a big product placement. So, lots of the Star Wars figures, you kind of
Coca-Cola.
see Coca-Cola, Reese's Pieces. But, like, I don't know. I never think of it like that when I watch it. It's just, like, background nostalgia, but it also feels authentic. It didn't feel piped in. It felt like what Elliot would have been playing with would have been Star Wars toys. It didn't feel like it was forced.
Yes. And to be fair, this movie actually kind of defined product placement in movies, because prior to that, what do you think of? Nothing really pops out. But then you think of Reese's Pieces and E.T. Like, that was huge. It boosted the sales for Reese's Pieces insanely, but that wasn't what the movie wanted. The movie wanted to use M&Ms, and they couldn't get permission. So Reese's Pieces was Reese's Pieces was the fallback. So it's like they weren't trying to advertise that specific candy. It's just what they had. And I agree. It's also a nod to George Lucas, because Steven Spielberg and George Lucas were very close.
Exactly.
So, and they worked together. So it is a nod to that. But also, I'm like, if I was a kid in 1982, I would have been playing with Star Wars toys.
Exactly.
I was a kid in 1999 and I was playing with Star Wars toys. So that's like, it fits to me. And also George Lucas responded in The Phantom Menace. There's in the Senate chamber, when there's all those different species there, E.T.'s race is there. And that is specifically a nod to that moment where E.T. seems to recognize Yoda.
Yes.
I was jealous of that mask. Oh, I was so jealous of that Yoda mask.
They don't make Yoda masks that good today.
No.
Yeah. Jonathan, were you done talking about the story?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. No, I didn't want to jump in if you weren't finished. Yeah, like I said at the beginning, I just think we've seen a lot of imitators after this of kid encountering animal, alien, creature. Even you can almost like Harry and the Hendersons type setup. Like, we've encountered a lot of that since. And this one was the first that did it in a way that just blew people's minds. And it's because, like we have all touched on, it is the human heart of the story and the depth of the family that gives it so much resonance. And I appreciate, this could go in the script, but it's vital to a good story to me, is that everything that is set up has a payoff. Everything. I'm watching it this time and I'm like, holy crap. everything sees a payoff. From our opening scene of Elliot playing D&D, well, he's not playing, he's watching his brother and his friends play D&D. And how he is like the nerdy little brother you can't play, like, oh, if you go get the pizza, maybe. And he feels like that outcast. And then they tease him throughout the movie. I think they call it the troll, is it? Or the goblin, something like that.
Goblin, yeah.
They're like the goblin from the woods. It's the goblin. They tease him about that the whole time. And then the final act, the final scenes of the film are the payoff of Elliot showing them he was right. It wasn't a goblin. It was real. It was there. He saw it. And those kids see that. So we have the payoff of that. We have the payoff of, yes, even the Reese's Pieces leading them out, and that brings E.T. back in. But that also is just like a little bond that forms between them, that little bit. Something as little, I caught it on this watch that I was like, oh, it makes me cry. The ouch. When he cuts his finger on the saw, helping build something. And then at the end,
his
E.T.
heart.
Yes,
Yeah.
E.T. uses that to communicate heartbreak. And I'm like, man, we don't write stories where there's so much depth to your storytelling in everything. We don't write like that anymore. I mean, there's so much of this, and I'll save it for later. I'll save it for cultural impact. But that's what I'm going to pick up on the story, is that everything that gets set up in this movie has a satisfying, rewarding, even payoff at the end. And I don't care that we don't see much after E.T. leaves. That's not what we needed. It's not what we needed. It ends perfectly.
That's not the story. You can speculate about that, I feel. And I like your point about how, poor Elliot's not, like, they're not letting him play D&D. They're like, well, go do this first and maybe you'll be in. But at the end, like, he becomes the leader of the gang for a little while as he's leading them on the bike chase with the government on their tails. And he's sitting there and he's standing and saying goodbye to E.T. and they're all witnessing that. It's like, wow, it's a huge payoff, because it's not just, oh, you were right. It was, oh, you're leading us on this real life adventure. And this is incredible. Like, this is a once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah, it is. It is the, and we'll talk about it too in character arc, but it's like a quintessential storyline. It is a classic storyline, just done in a way that hadn't been seen. I'm looking at this from 1982 perspective, because we can look at it now and I see the fingerprints everywhere. But in 1982, this was groundbreaking. Yeah. So, and like I hinted at in the intro video, I think Jaws, man, Steven Spielberg is not one of my favorite directors. He's not. But he has at least 2 movies that I think are nearly perfect in every single way. And that is something that I can't really say of many other directors. So I sit there and I think, like, is he one of my favorite? No, he just has some really good movies. So I think Jaws is a perfect film from beginning to end. I have no issues with that movie. And I'll tell you what I think of this one at the end. Yeah, so for story, ready to score it?
Sure, why not? I just want to say, though, man, like, it's one great thing that I like about this movie is that, it was such a standard for alien movies to be scary and fearsome and dangerous and, a lot of negative stuff to happen. And then finally have a feel-good alien movie where everything is lighthearted, where it's deeply emotional and it really cuts to the heart, man. That was epic for the time. There's nothing quite like that, man. So you got to really appreciate a lot of that in comparison to what we would normally get with alien films.
Because the 80s really did see, and this was early 80s, so it's not a super fair comparison, but the 80s did see a lot of remakes of the 50s films, of the 1950s films, like The Thing. Yeah. We did the House of Wax wasn't remade in the 80s. But we saw a resurgence of those 80s or those 50s ideas. And so E.T. definitely turned it on its head, like you said, and made it the alien was the friend. So definitely original. I'll spoil my score. I'm a 5 on the score. There's nothing else like it.
I'm also a 5. Pretty easy to guess. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I originally had it as a 4, but as we've been kind of talking about it, there was little things that I wasn't necessarily thinking about that I'm gonna bump mine up to a 5 as well. Because there's not really anything that I can use as a negative now that I'm kind of like sitting with it a little bit more.
Yeah, that's why, man, the real review happens with your friends. Hanging out and chatting about it always makes it so much better.
And that's why I was originally at a 3, but I'm changing mine to a 4.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Well, then, so the character is next, and we can talk about, we mentioned kind of Elliot's arc, and I want to hear, David, I want to hear you go first again, if you don't mind going first, because I do want that fresh perspective on it is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Elliot, it's just an interesting situation. It's kind of already brought up, him being like the middle child, not really kind of having like his friend group. I mean, the little sister, I mean, the great, Drew Barrymore has a super young role there. But, like, she's still young. So, like, you still kind of cling to your parents, where his older brother has all of those friends. And just kind of seeing him grow as a character when he's with E.T. I thought that was just kind of great. Just kind of seeing how he is, like, trying to teach him things. And, like, Gertie obviously brings like the first breakthrough for it, and then that kind of starts to like spiral everything down, and then he's the one going out and helping him get all the tools and everything that he needs to kind of build what he's trying to build, and he doesn't necessarily understand even what he's trying to do at first, but he's still going to do that to help him out. But also another one, it's kind of funny, is Dee Wallace is somebody who I had seen in so many horror movies before this one. But I mean, and something I'll come back to is in like Scream. They bring it up as her being like the mom from E.T. and what was like the werewolf movie. And that's something that's been stuck in my brain for, decades and everything like that. So it's kind of interesting to see her in a role like this, where it's less of her being in peril and her just seeming so helpless. But as her children are working with this thing, yeah, she's at her wit's end, because I mean, her son disappears overnight and just the terror that comes with that. But then her allowing him to kind of do like something to help E.T. at the climax really just kind of made me, it's really heartfelt.
Yeah, great points.
Yeah, I love Dee Wallace. I guess, a little biased because I just think she's incredible. And I love her as a mom because I think she did great in Cujo as well. So I got to see her talk live at a horror convention in 2014. It was Spooky Empire in Orlando, Florida. And she just had the coolest things to say. She didn't talk a lot about E.T., but she talked a ton about Cujo. And she's just the coolest person to hear talk. And she definitely seems like a very cool mom. And that's what she was kind of playing, but she also kind of played it a little, I think, ditzy. I think the mom was a little ditzy, a little out of it, because she's going through her own emotional stuff. So you see all these weird, quirky parts that I didn't always pick up on as a kid, but as I rewatch it as an adult, like, her alone on Halloween, kind of just waiting around, bored. Also, I think the kids, if you look close at their reaction, they're, like, all weirded out by how she's dressed on Halloween. They're like, what is she wearing? Like, is she, like, dressing all sexy? Like, what's going on? That was just me. That's me reading between the lines. But I think she played the mom perfectly. And I just think the mom character had great development, because she goes from fear, from first seeing E.T. all white on the bathroom floor, to crying and letting Elliot have his moment to say goodbye to E.T. instead of like holding him back or saying, no, get away from there. She let them have that moment. And I think that's powerful in terms of character development. So I really love the mom character. I also love the brother characters and their relationship to one another, because yes, you do see the older brother kind of being like, oh, whatever, you can't play D&D. But then you do see him support Elliot throughout the entire movie once he actually understands how amazing this whole thing is, this whole experience is with E.T. Not only does he realize that, but he clearly realizes that there is a bond between. In fact, he's the first one who says, don't you notice that E.T.'s looking a little weird and you're looking a little weird, like you're looking a little sick? And so he realized that there's some kind of connection between them right away. So I think the brother, although obviously he's not like the main character like Elliot, I think his character development's great too, because you really see their relationship and the strength of their relationship grow very much throughout the entire film, especially towards the end when he's like, you need to go find him, you need to go find E.T. when he's lost in the woods, and then he goes off and he's got to lose the tail of the government, and it's great. Anyway. Yeah, that's all I have to say. It's great.
I want to jump in real quick before Jonathan goes. You mentioned the mother and her reaction to first seeing E.T. And that is something that watching it, I'm like, I love that. It's hard to watch. I'm like, no. But watching it, I'm like, that is a mother's reaction. Like, get your kids away from this thing you do not understand. And then once she has a moment to step back and see the situation a little bigger, she comes around to it and understands. But I was like, that is a very natural mother reaction to what is happening. And I appreciate the movie for doing something that it's a sci-fi movie with an alien, and this is very realistic. It is all of the reactions to E.T. actually. I think when the big brother first sees it and he's kind of horrified, and then Drew Barrymore comes in and it's kind of hilarious. But yeah, it all is very natural. But that moment with the mother especially, I have more I'll talk to you on the mother after Jonathan goes.
Well, you guys pretty much covered the majority of it there. So, I mean, for me, it's like you were saying earlier, David, like you got this family that's going through pretty heavy time because of dad leaving them in the dust, basically, for another woman. And the kids kind of struggling. Yeah, he hates Mexico, and like Elliot struggling emotionally, trying to find his place in that. And I mean, they're all having a struggle, but this whole interaction with the ET and how it brings them all closer together as a family and helps them kind of understand their emotions a bit more and how to look at things in the bigger picture instead of just seeing it all as a bad thing and freaking out super hard. You gotta love that sense of growth in there. But in the end, ultimately, though, they're still going to be struggling with that whole thing with dad leaving them, and so there's not much resolution in there. So that kind of takes it down a notch for me in that sense of growth, unfortunately. But overall, it's so heartwarming that they were able to be there for each other, and more importantly, we're there for E.T. to make sure that he was able to achieve his goal as being reunited with his people.
Screw that dad, dude. They had a cool ass experience, and the dad missed out, and that's
what
his
a
loss.
goober.
Yeah,
Hey,
proud of
it's
you,
his
jerk.
loss. His loss. The family is closer than ever now, and he missed out. So I'll start with the big brother. I really don't feel like. I mean, Drew Barrymore has a very simple arc of she's initially terrified, and then she loves E.T. like everyone else. She's the youngest. She doesn't have a tremendous arc, but she steals just about every scene she is in. Drew Barrymore is fantastic in this film.
Cute. Oh my gosh.
It's so good. And a lot of her best moments are completely ad-libbed by her at like 7, whatever age she was. It's awesome. And I'll get into the acting, why she's so great. But like we were talking about with the brother who doesn't believe Elliot and kind of I don't want to say he bullies him because he's very much big brother picking on, teasing. I can still tell he cares about his brother, but like when he's with his friends, little brother, go away. I'm with my friends.
That's normal.
That's normal. So I get that attitude. But then he has that scene at the end when E.T. is dying and he goes back into the closet and he just lays down in the quiet. And you're like, he has come so far from where we saw him at the beginning. And it's just, that scene has no words. You just see him go to where E.T. used to live.
Yeah.
And he spends that moment. And I'm like, oh,
that gives
so
me
good.
goosebumps, you mentioning that. Like, I was like, oh. Yeah, I love
and then the mother, so yeah, like we mentioned, she's doing the single mother thing and raising these 3 kids. And these 3 kids don't look like 3 easy kids to raise. They don't. They're kind of rambunctious. A lot of personality among the 3 of them, dealing with a lot of that. But I think the scene that shows what is going on, the absolute best with the mother, and then we get that payoff again at the end, is when she comes home after, I think it's after E.T. is drinking, and he's in the kitchen, and Gertie is like, hey, I want to show you this, meet this person. And the mom is there, but she is so preoccupied with everything else, she misses E.T.
Right behind her.
Right behind her. And that is, on the surface, you're like, oh, this is a goofy scene. But that scene is communicating how she misses what is going on in her children's life because she is so preoccupied on making sure they have groceries. Why aren't you at school today? She is juggling the job of two parents by herself in this new situation. And she completely misses E.T. And that is such a good setup for when she does see E.T., she's initially scared, but then she understands that E.T. was able to give Elliot something she wasn't.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's why that emotional resolution with her is so good at the end. And again, it's not communicated in words. She, like, from her, she doesn't say it. But we see her face and we see her reactions and we see what goes on. And you see that there. And then there's Elliot, who also, I mean, we've kind of talked a lot about Elliot, who has that kind of identity crisis. He lost his dad. He doesn't know where he fits in the world. And I think, Jonathan, I think he has a great payoff on his character arc. It's okay. Because there is a killer moment. I'll see if I can say it without crying. When E.T. is dead, and Elliot says, the exact line is, "You must be dead because I don't know how to feel. I can't feel anything anymore." So good. But then E.T. asks him moments later to come with him. E.T. at the end says, "Come." Elliot says, "Stay." And then they separate. And so it can be inferred again in that, without telling us, that he realizes he doesn't need E.T. to continue. He understands now. He's grown in that character. He found his place and his own identity thanks to E.T., but not because of E.T. So I love every character arc in this. Even the silly kids, the brothers' friends, who doubting, teasing guys at the end, and then at the end they're just jaws dropped the whole time. And I think his name is Keys, the government agent that we never really get a name for, but we see the whole time. And we think he's a threat from the beginning. You know, he's the bad guy. But then you actually find out that he's kind of the older Elliot, and he's been wanting this since he was 10 years old, and he wants to understand E.T. and help E.T. And there's that change on him. The government's still the bad guy. They're always the bad guy. Don't get me wrong on that.
Oh, yeah.
But we get that, like, oh, here we are thinking they're going to be villainous. And as a kid, I'm watching E.T. and I'm like, yeah, the government's killing E.T. I'm right there with Elliot. I'm totally understanding that. As an adult, I'm like, no, they're trying to save E.T. Maybe for studying, maybe for cutting him up and doing stuff later, but in that moment, they are actually trying to save E.T. So there's so much that just, like I said with story, we get the setup, and I think we get the payoff with everything and every character, and I think it's beautifully done. So no surprise, I'm a 5 on the character arc here.
Same. I'm a 5. I'm sorry.
No, this is another one I'm also going to bump up to a 5 as well.
Yeah, don't apologize for feeling how you feel about it.
Nope.
For me, I'm a 3.
Ooh. That's okay. That's okay. All right. So the music and sound design. This is one. Can I go first on this one?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Music and sound design. John Williams won an Academy Award for this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And the score for this movie. And maybe I'm partial to John Williams. He has a very recognizable sound. Very recognizable sound. But still, I can pick out the John Williams Indiana Jones score versus the John Williams Star Wars score versus the John Williams Jaws score versus the John Williams E.T. score. I can identify the differences in John Williams scores because they are each, he's amazing at themes, capturing not just like the E.T. theme, but emotional themes of using music to connect various threads of a film and revisiting certain themes. He revisits the Star Wars theme in this movie during that Halloween scene with Yoda. There's a little touch of that. But I think initially it's set up like, I think the opening of the movie is just kind of one of like curious, what's going on? And John Williams captures that sound nicely. I think the moment he absolutely shines, I put in my notes, my exact words were John Williams is at absolute peak during the bike chase at the end of the movie.
Oh God, yeah.
It is so good because it captures not just like the intensity of the chase in the moment, but it's also optimistic. Like you feel good. You're like, yes, they're getting away, and it nails that emotion. And I was doing some research. The research did not affect the score. The score was done before the research. But he actually struggled composing the end of the film because he was trying to make it sync up with the movie. And Spielberg told him not to. He said, compose it without the film. And Spielberg re-edited the movie to fit Williams' score for the end, for the finale.
Wow.
Okay.
So I think that's another reason why, like, it's all these moving parts coming together so well from every piece of it. But that is another one where the music was made to kind of be a priority because we need that emotional cue that the music brings and that John Williams was so good at doing and bringing that into the finale beautifully. John Williams has a ton of excellent scores. This is probably my favorite of his. Yeah, it's might not be as iconic as Star Wars or as thrilling as Jaws, but this music has an incredible range of emotion and musical storytelling. So I love that. And then the audio production is also in here, and the audio production is fantastic. I was reading the voice for E.T. was actually a like 70-year-old lady who lived in the area and smoked 2 packs a day, and they thought the audio producer was like, she is perfect for
Nice.
E.T. So they went with that, altered the voice a little bit. They used a combination of voices for like when he would scream and stuff. They used combinations of that. I think the sound design in this is excellent as well. So that's my thoughts on the music. If David wants to go ahead and take off.
For me, music is always kind of tough the first time I watch something because I get so sucked into trying to follow the story that I kind of lose the music sometimes. And for me, if it doesn't take me out, that's usually a pretty good sign that it's not like bad, but it's usually always that second and third watch is where the music is where I'm able to kind of focus on it more. So for me, I do remember the opening like theme. That whole like curiosity feel to it is something I was like, oh, that's. And then I saw his name. I was like, oh, okay. So like, it's. I looked over at my wife because she watched it with me. I was like, oh, I was like, yeah, like Star Wars. Like this is the guy who did that. Like,
Yep.
So like we're in good hands. And then I do remember the chase scene at the end. There's a lot of it in the middle that I think on like watches going forward that it'll kind of stick out more to me. But I mean, the voice of E.T. is just so iconic, which is hilarious that it's mostly done by a 70-year-old woman. Because I did end up seeing that it was a woman that they said to it. Did not know she smoked 2 packs a day, and that actually makes a whole lot more sense. So I'm probably going to end up being a little bit lower when we give our scores for this one, but that's not necessarily a slight. That's more of just kind of how I watch things.
Oh,
fair.
come on. It can't be that bad.
That's fair.
I think I love the score a lot. I am a big John Williams fan. I've gone to productions where our local orchestra like plays John Williams scores. There's been a couple. They showed Jaws and they played live to Jaws. They did a John Williams compilation where they did like, I know they did Indiana Jones. I know they did Jurassic Park.
Sweet.
And I love the theme for Jurassic Park. I love the theme for Star Wars.
Yes.
I love the theme for Home Alone. I'm a huge Home Alone fan.
Yes,
Home Alone
I
2,
forgot he did Home Alone.
Yeah,
How could I
Home
forget
Alone
that?
2 is one of my favorites ever. He's even done Harry Potter. And I think the two scores to me that sound the most alike of John Williams are Home Alone compared to, you could really hear Home Alone in Harry Potter, the first movie.
Yeah.
If you compare them, you can very much hear the similarities, in my opinion, of those two scores.
So when you saw, was it one of those where they had Jaws up on the big screen with the full orchestra underneath and you watched the whole movie?
Right, and it wasn't
It's
a great
so cool.
screen.
That is amazing.
But It was so much fun. They also
I did that with Empire Strikes Back, and it's an awesome. If you can ever do something like that, it is an awesome experience. It's really cool.
Highly recommend. So I did that multiple times. I think they did 2 movies and 1 little compilation. So I went every time because I love John Williams. Like I said, having said that, I hate to be Tim 2.0, but
Tim Pick.
I think that the E.T. theme is my favorite John Williams theme. I had it when I wasn't even like thinking I was going to go to film school or anything, or that I cared about movies that much. I had it on my little, it wasn't even an iPod because they didn't have iPods back then. It was like this weird, I burned it on CDs. I had it, like I had the score with other music on CDs. That's how much I liked it. So,
Burn CDs, yeah. I actually bought a drive for my laptop so I could burn CDs again.
Oh,
Nostalgia's back, baby.
It is actually back, but...
It is. Cheat code, if you have, I pay for Apple Music, and you can still burn playlists onto CDs from Apple Music. So I don't think that works as much on Spotify. I don't know, but yeah. So even though you're paying $9.99 for that monthly music subscription, you can at least get some physical illegal copies.
So it feels old school.
Yeah, do not do this. Definitely not like LimeWire or anything like that.
Oh man, I miss LimeWire. Anyway.
Anyways, back to...
I will say, the E.T. score is literally my favorite John Williams score. I could easily say that, even though there's so many other scores of his that I love. E.T. just sticks out. There's something magical about it. He captures the whimsical nature, the sense of adventure, the sense of wonder and awe almost. I don't know, just there's something about it, and it matches up with the visuals so beautifully. Not only in the chase scene, but we got to talk about the iconic bike moon scene. I mean, that is like the ultimate, like, it blows me away. I can't, there's no words. It's hard to describe how much and why I love it, but I do.
Yep.
This is, of course, epic orchestration. To have such an amazing composer like John Williams at the head of everything for the soundtrack in this movie. Man, it's I don't even know what to say, man. It's every scene with every song throughout this entire movie, it all hits on just the right notes at just the right times, and it really, really pulls you in and really helps enhance those feelings with each scene and what you're experiencing as you watch them go through this journey.
Yes.
I will say Sean bashed the score too. I want to kind of read part of Sean's review. I kind of like it though because it's bringing in another perspective. Now I don't know if Sean did he fill out a scorecard. I'm guessing he didn't.
No, he didn't. Sean.
Oh, come on.
Okay, wait.
Knocking on his.
So guys, this is Sean from the Horror Vision. I'm just saying, I love him. I love him very much. But
yes, I love Sean.
I just thought it was funny because I went to go log my movie, and that's when I saw his review, and I was like, oh, interesting here, let's see what he has to say. And I was just kind of like, this is a different perspective, to say the least. Let me find it here. He basically, like, the gist of it, until I can find it, was saying that it was like a little too overblown. Let's see. Concerned with product placement, like I said earlier. The score is overdone and used relentlessly. It felt like every effing scene had epic musical accompaniment. And maybe this is what David feels, because he said he was going to be harsh. I don't know, David, what you think. But
I don't know if I'm going that harsh.
He says it's often used to incite emotion where it's otherwise lacking in the script. Finally, I think the fact that this was a kid's flick made Spielberg take it less seriously, or possibly feel the need to dumb it down. I disagree with that, too. It didn't feel as accomplished as Jaws or Close Encounters or Poltergeist. Disagree with all of that, but anyway, I'm sorry. I love Sean, but I don't agree.
Jumping on that, Sean, we love you. It's okay to be wrong every now and then. Catch us tomorrow night for Dread Broadcast, and Sean will be there. But interestingly enough, Spielberg was working on this and Poltergeist at the same time, so they were made to somewhat be companion films where E.T. represents suburban dreams and Poltergeist represents suburban nightmares. And they're kind of a companion piece. If you look, the neighborhoods look The neighborhoods are extremely similar. The setting is very similar. So a lot of same dynamics there. So that's just an interesting connection, because I'm glad you said Poltergeist, because I forgot about that until just. But
it's also interesting. There's a lot of Star Wars references in Poltergeist too.
Yeah. Yep. And that's a Tobe Hooper film produced by Spielberg.
Yeah, and I heard that there's like, isn't there some kind of not animosity, but wasn't there some kind of like people always talk about it like a Spielberg movie, and Tobe Hooper's like, no, like that kind of sucks. So there's like this weird thing between them about that movie.
There's like, I don't know if they're legends or rumors or what at this point, but that like Tobe Hooper didn't really want to do Poltergeist and would show up drunk to set, and Spielberg would end up filming scenes, and that's why like some people attribute it to Spielberg and then other people attribute it to Tobe. I don't know what's fact. I don't know, but I still love Poltergeist, the first one. So is that all we had for music?
I believe so, yeah.
No surprises here again. I'm a 5, and that is usually my difference between a 4 and a 5 is if you played the theme for me right now, would I know the movie that it's in? Yes, I would. So it not only accompanied it, it is an iconic theme that I would say if you've seen the movie, you're probably going to recognize that it's E.T.'s theme.
Yes. I agree with you. I'm a 5. I'm sorry if everyone's gonna get sick of hearing me say I agree with Tim, but it is a 5, and I think what it means to me, I think it deserves a 5. So I did apologize, but I'm not really apologizing at heart, because I know it's the right score for me. So
yeah,
don't be sorry. Be awesome.
Yeah, be good.
I gave you a 3 though.
You're a 3, David?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm sitting at a 4.
Okay.
Split the difference here.
There we go. Man, I should have gotten Sean on this episode.
I know. I mean, I only found out last night that he felt this way because I went to go log the movie and I saw this and I was like, man, he would have been great. Like, he would have been, like, crazy.
I'm going to have to harass him in the chat about it.
Do it.
So, I mean, I did title the series The Greats, so no one should be surprised at scores on this one being higher than our usual Kroll and Howard the Duck scores. It's gonna be a little better than that. All right, the editing and special effects. This is one. All right, I'll let David take the lead again on this one.
I mean, it's kind of already been brought up a little bit already, but I mean, you have the iconic bike riding scenes where E.T. is able to make everybody fly is, I mean, just so iconic. I mean, something I knew long before I ever saw it. I mean, I'm pretty sure Steven Spielberg's Amblin production company obviously uses that as its logo. So I mean, that's just impressive there in itself. But I mean, what they were able to do to bring E.T. to life though is just absolutely amazing. I think that's kind of one of the big things for me watching this is like how seamless it looks to make this happen. And I was reading up a little bit that there was like a little person actor at one time that was like walking around on his like hands and making everything look that way. And I was like, that is just wild to be able to utilize different things like that to make this. And it just kind of just shows how like CGI can look good, but still to me, even though there's like it still there's that roughness because it is practically done, that still just adds charm because they were able to still bring it to life that way.
Absolutely.
I totally agree. I love the design of E.T. I think he's really unique looking for an alien creature in a movie. And I think that kind of goes with what Jonathan was saying earlier about how it's not a scary alien. Even though at points people do get scared by him. You know, Gertie gets scared by him. Obviously, the mom gets scared by him at times. But I do think when you sit and look at him after you get over the shock of, oh shit, there's an alien in front of me, he kind of looks sweet. So I think the design of E.T. is very interesting and doesn't look like any other kind of creature in a movie of that time. At least in my opinion. I can't think of a comparison that looks like E.T. So I think his design is so impressive and amazing, and I just think the effects overall, when I'm sitting there and today in 2026 appreciating it and it doesn't look off or weird to me, like remember how we were reviewing Willow And some of the, like, we're like, yes, these are groundbreaking, but when you look at it today, it still kind of sticks out, like, pretty. It ages a little bit. I really don't feel that way with E.T. And both films are very nostalgic to me, but one I feel like it feels a little dated, but I still love it, and the other, which would be E.T. that we're talking about today, I don't feel like it feels dated. I feel like it feels authentic, real. There's just something like you can touch with the whole thing. It feels just very solid. Nothing feels artificial. Even like the spaceship shots, everything just looks really good and blends really well. And I think a lot of that has to do with the lighting. Like E.T. is one of my favorite lit movies. There's like a lot of backlighting, a lot of fog. There's so many good things that I love about it.
I'm so glad you brought that up. In my notes, I just put lighting, exclamation point.
Yes, I love the lighting. Like, even when I was a kid, okay, I know nothing about film as an 8-year-old, but I remember specifically when Elliot puts the dishes in the sink, and then all of a sudden the camera's panning out, and like fog is like, it's steam is coming up, and it pulls out, and it's just so well lit, so perfectly shot. It's incredible. As a kid, I was like, I freaking love this scene. Nothing's happening, but I was like, I like the way this looks. I don't know. Anyway, but back to the special effects. Love it. I think it's amazing.
I like what you said about how it blended well, because with so much of the different with the green screen overlays that you're getting, especially towards the end when the spaceship comes down and the boys are standing there waiting, they really did great with that lighting to make this sure that the boys and the color tone and like how dark it was matched the forest setting with everything coming down. Man, that was really good. And then, especially with E.T. not being a scary alien, knowing that he has those telekinetic powers, but he never does anything bad with it. Even though, like, when he does the display, when he's, like, spinning the balls in the room above their heads, the way that kind of matched up really well in the lighting there as well, man, it looked really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And David touched on the puppetry, but I wrote in my notes, I was like, how? Sorry, I have 6 pages of notes.
Wow.
How they made a puppet look curious, scared, happy. Like, I was watching it, and his pupils are enlarging and shrinking in scenes. And I'm just blown away that the way they used bladder effects for like musculature movement and his breathing and all of that is so detailed. And I feel like I have to mention it here, even though I was going to save it for acting. But like E.T.'s puppet was so good that Drew Barrymore thought it was real. That is why her performance is as good as it is. She thought E.T. was real. So that, and they've let her to help the movie. They let her think it was real. Her line about his feet are weird was ad-libbed, because she saw him in a moment when his feet weren't attached, and it was his puppetry wires coming out of the bottom of his puppet. And so she was like, his feet are weird. And that is in the movie now. That made it into the movie. But that is how good E.T. was. And I think, I don't think this movie would be quite the same level if it wasn't that puppetry in it. And I think that is majorly missing in a lot of today's modern films. I mentioned to you guys in our chat before this, Project Hail Mary was recently in theaters, and it is the closest thing to E.T. that I have ever seen. And part of that is, if you've seen any of the social media stuff about it, the rock alien in Project Hail Mary was a puppet. What we see on screen is not CGI. They did not use a green screen in the film at all. It's puppetry the entire time.
That makes me want to go see it. Honestly.
It's so good, and it improves the experience. I think it definitely helps, because there is something about just eye lines.
Yeah.
When you look where a character is looking, when it's CGI, you can kind of see that they're looking through what's there, or not even at it sometimes. And the only time that happens in this film is completely forgivable. And it is when, at the end, during the police chase, when the bikes lift off the ground and the police are looking slightly under it. And I'm like, I'm not even mad about it. Not even mad about it. But that is the only time. Does some of it look, the compositing look a little dated? A little. But again, what it's being used for is that emotional high at the moment that I don't care if it, I would rather have a movie look like this every day than watch some Marvel thing that was filmed in front of a green screen the entire time. I'm still going to watch the Marvel movie. I always do. But it's not going to be as timeless as what we see here.
You just can't copy the texture that you get from a real life physical thing in the scene with a person. There's texture to something like that versus CGI.
Precisely. E.T. is going to look good 50 years from now because E.T. was in the room with those characters. Yeah. The lighting hit that figure. Like, it is going to look great. Some of these other things might not look that good in 50 years. I don't know. But yeah, the special effects are in this movie they were groundbreaking at the time. His like silly little thing, his light up fingers and all that special, but it's an iconic thing. The bike in front of the moon, like you mentioned, is even Steven Spielberg's company's logo. Like, yeah, let's use that. It is so iconic. I have to give the special effects, even though I can critique them and say by today's standards, they don't look as good as something else. I have to say that I would take this kind of special effects over something that looks better but is fake every day. So E.T. alone is a 5. So if I'm going to put the bike in there and how sometimes it doesn't look exactly like everything else, I'm not going to bring it down because E.T. is too good for that. So I'm a 5 on this one too.
Yeah, me too. I'm sorry. And yeah, I know you could criticize if you're really getting nitpicky about, especially the bike flight scene in the chase when they all take flight, not just Elliot and E.T. take flight. I do think you could nitpick, but I don't know. I guess I never noticed that stuff even today. Whereas in Willow, it's so glaring to me, and I was like, I just can't help but notice it. But also E.T., you're just on a different emotional level while you're watching, so I think that's part of it too. Where I'm just like so invested in the story and the characters making it that. Even though I know what happens is the funny part, but I'm still so invested that I don't nitpick as much as I would usually for something else. I don't know.
I think just from my personal experience of watching movies, I think the reason I don't nitpick or go into it as much, and I know I'm the one who brought up that the sightline is off and whatever, it's just things I notice. It doesn't change how much I enjoy the movie because it goes back to what I said with the story. Everything that is set up has an emotional payoff. If I did not have that payoff, I'm going to critique the movie a little bit harder. I'm going to say like, oh, well, you dropped the ball here and here and here. But because I have satisfying payoff to everything that is happening, and because that bike scene is a pivotal payoff moment, I can look over some dated effects. Doesn't phase the storytelling being done. So yeah, I agree.
To me, without the bike scene, the movie wouldn't be the same. I feel like you need the bike scene. So that's why another reason why I wouldn't criticize it, because it's not just thrown in there just for shits and giggles. Like it needs to be there. It's part of it, you know.
Yep.
Magic and majesty for the children, man.
Yeah. All right, we got.
I was originally going to go. Yeah, I was going to originally go with a 4, but I'm going to bump that up to a 5. I think I had some slight issues with editing, but the more I'd sit with the effects, I'm like, you know what? That overshadows anything that could have potentially been a problem, so I'm going to bump that up to a 5.
There is a weird, I will say, in the cornfield, there is a weird edited shot where it's like 3 almost jump cuts of Elliot in a row, and I still, like, I've seen this a billion times, and I'm still like, why did they choose that? Is it just because he's, like, shocked, and they're, like, getting slightly different angles of him? I don't know if you guys remember the shot I'm referring to, but you could criticize that. That's the one shot that I always notice that is weird to me. I would say one shot. It's 3 series of shots. Yeah. But yeah, I still don't care.
See, I don't know. I would have to go back. I don't remember that, but I remember there are 3 jump cuts of Elliot on the bike at the end. And so I wonder if there is a something is happening in both scenes that like those shots are actually used to communicate his revelation at what's happening. I don't know. It
could be.
Yeah. Jonathan.
So it's funny that you mention Project Hail Mary being like the closest thing you've seen to something like this. I'm guessing, have any of you ever seen Mac and Me?
No, but the ripoff, like I've heard about it. I
It
know
came out
some
like
people
85,
love it.
86.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's like
Yeah,
with
I've seen
E.T. and like the way they designed him and the puppetry for that. And the neck extension and retraction effect, that was really cool. But yeah, just look up Mac and Me. Because it's another little boy alien sweet connection thing, but man, the design is kind of horrendous compared to E.T.
Mystery Science Theater, when it had the Netflix revival, actually did Mac and Me, and it's a hilarious episode. So
I'll have to watch that. It's gonna be good.
Definitely check that out. But keep going, John.
Overall, special effects and editing, I'm sitting at a 4 on this one.
Okay. Alrighty then. The script. The script. David, you can take it off or you can pass it to someone else if you want. It's up to you.
I can go ahead.
Okay.
To me, I do think that this. The story doesn't necessarily need to even be as solid as it is. I think it kind of just really adds to what kind of makes this film work so well. On surface level, you just literally have an alien who comes down and just kind of everything happening there. But putting all that emotional depth into it really kind of elevates it to something that just gives it a little bit more. And that's probably a major reason why this has such staying power as well, is that you have that where, yeah, you have the stuff for children where you have just the alien, the interaction, the kids being like, oh, what would I do if I was, in this type of situation? But having parents be able to also sit down and enjoy this, as almost a 40-year-old man watching this for the first time, that I'm like, oh, I'm invested in this because I'm more interested as an adult watching that type of interaction and kind of like looking at it like, what would I do if I was in this mother's position? And just kind of seeing like, well, and actually, going back to that one scene as well when I'm thinking about it, I had just recently watched a video about how when you're in a familiar spot, how you can become blind to things that are out of place until it actually sticks out. And that is kind of interesting with Dee Wallace in that position, where she's walking around, notices like there's trash around and stuff. And it's more of just because there's only so much you can do in a day. And when you're a parent with, 3 children in her case, and just that type of thing that you incorporate into the story is just kind of that makes it feel more real and we're something that you can connect with it, even with all the supernatural stuff that might, as far as we all know, or at least as far as I know, is not something that's ever really happened to somebody.
Yeah, great points.
Yo, I keep going second. You guys can go.
Okay, I'll
No.
go.
Yep. Okay, Jonathan, go on.
So it's funny because you guys talk about how it's such a good family movie, but the PG-13 rating on it with some of the dialogue in this, because you got Elliot calling his brother or his friend or something penis breath.
I love how Dee Wallace's character laughs, like the mom laughs, and he's
Yeah,
like, stop.
Yeah, and then calls like one of his buddies, like one of Michael's friends, says he calls him a douchebag, and his mom's like, "No douchebag talk in my house," It makes me wonder how many children after watching this were running around saying penis, breath, and douchebag left and
It's
right.
PG.
And parents being like, "What?"
I'm about to say, there's no way it's PG-13, right?
PG.
Wasn't it? I thought it was PG-13.
No way.
I do think this is one of the
predates-
ones that.
Oh wait,
yeah,
no.
that pushed
Okay, I'm
for
sorry.
it.
No, the poster I did for Type 2, I put it as PG-13 because of like the themes of what I put on
Yes,
that, which we can show later. I actually pulled it up, so we can show
do
that
it.
later. But we
No,
can
I think
show that off in
David's-
the factor.
Okay, David's right. I think this is one of those movies that encouraged the MPAA to create the PG-13, because I think one of the first PG-13 movies, there were 2 at this, like about the same time, but Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade was one of the first 2 PG-13 movies.
Yeah, because I think it's
And that-
Raiders of the Lost Ark and Poltergeist were like the 3 that they were like, we need to have something in between R and PG.
Yeah, Raiders is pretty intense for a PG rating. Actually, it's an R rating.
I can
Oh,
see
really?
that.
I think Raiders is R,
Oh.
and Poltergeist is PG. And the dude rips his face off in Poltergeist. That's way.
Oh yeah. That's not kid friendly at all.
way
No.
When I
That
watched
scared
Family
them.
Video, that was a fun one that I could put on at any time because I'm like, it's PG rated. Like, what do you want me to do
Yeah.
here?
That movie scared the poop out of me the first time I saw it. Yeah. All right,
So-
Jonathan, go ahead.
But like, there's a lot of dialogue in there that just throws it off as being like such a kid family film. And you're talking earlier about how Drew Barrymore did so much ad lib stuff. In that early part before they discover E.T., when they're sitting in the table with Michael and his friends playing D&D, and they're talking, Elliot comes in freaking out about what he saw out there, and they're trying to talk about what it is, and Michael is like saying it could be this or this, and Gertie is like co-signing after like everything he says. And I wonder if that was part of the script or if that was more of her ad-libbing. You know, because they're trying to figure it out. It's like, I couldn't have imagined it. And Michael's like, maybe it was a pervert or a deformed kid or something. And Gertie's like, a deformed kid. And, and just like repeating everything that he says just about. And I'm just sitting there like, man, that's awesome. You know, that's so typical little kid just to like be repeating random shit that you hear from people. So I appreciate that. But overall, man, I think that they did a lot of good writing with this and the way they kind of led things through with the interactions and how people weren't as bad as they seem to be, what you see initially from the beginning.
I think it's masterfully written, no surprise, but I can't find anything to criticize. In fact, one scene we haven't talked about yet is the scene where they're about to operate, or what is it called? They're about to cut open the frogs, and then Elliot frees them, and he's also like, then you know something is connecting between E.T. and Elliot, especially with the kiss. Like, that whole part, you don't need that, but I feel like it's such a great scene, especially because it's so poignant, in my opinion, that he's sitting there looking at the frog like, hi, can you talk? Like, oh, what's going on? What's up? Or like, does this being have emotions? Does this being have a brain? Is this like something that could feel and think like E.T.? So to me, it's like, it's not said in words, but like you get the gist just from the scene playing out and written the way it is, that Elliot's like thinking on a different level now. Like, he's almost more appreciative of life on Earth because of E.T. So to me, it's just such like a great scene. You could think it's a throwaway scene, but I think it has such bigger meaning and a bigger part to play in the overall story. So even a scene like that, I think, has its place in the script and is just genius. And I think why I love this movie so much, it's 115 minutes, I looked up on Letterboxd. There are movies that are 90 minutes long that I keep looking at my watch. When I rewatch, even though I've seen this movie a billion times, I rewatched it last night, it goes like a blink of an eye. There's never anything that feels like it lags. I feel like it moves. And even though it's got so much emotional undertone throughout the whole thing, I don't think it drags the pacing down. I don't think that there's anything that they really kept in that they should have cut. So to me, there's nothing I can criticize about the story. I think, although it's 115 minutes, it feels tight. It feels like there's nothing there padding it. I can't find anything to criticize with it.
But would Elliot have had those thoughts with the frog if he hadn't been a drunk kid?
Yes.
Thoughts of a drunk middle schooler getting ready to cut up a frog?
I don't think he would have kissed the girl if he hadn't been drunk, but I think he would have still wanted to save the frog.
So what I appreciate about that scene, and I'm glad you brought it up, I was going to bring it up later. Do you know who plays the teacher in that scene?
No.
Would you pay attention?
It's Harrison Ford.
What? No!
It's Harrison Ford was at that time dating or married to the woman who wrote the script. Huh. And they wrote the script on the set of Raiders of the Lost Ark. And so they convinced Harrison to do it. Spielberg and his partner convinced Harrison to do it based on the fact that his face would not be seen. Because part of what Spielberg did, and this goes in a direction, but Kelsey brought up the scene, so I got to talk about it now. He shot the movie from a kid's POV. Okay. If you think about it, it's a lot like Charlie Brown, where the adults' faces aren't always seen. The villains, the government people that we don't see their faces. I put it in my notes. We don't see their faces until the last 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. We see them almost from waist level the entire time. And with the exception of the mother is the only one that we see, and that's because she's a focal point of the kid's life. We see her a lot. But most other adults are seen from a kid's eye level. And so Harrison Ford plays the teacher in that scene.
Now I
And
want to
that
go
is-
and rewatch that scene to see if I recognize his voice, especially
know.
because I never noticed before until last night that he says, he either says, I can handle this, or I can't handle this. So either he's lying to himself by saying, I can handle this because all the frogs are loose everywhere, or he's saying, I can't handle this. But I noticed that he said one of those two things, and I was like, that's funny, he's freaking out. And I never noticed.
That is a scene that I'm glad you brought it up, because I'll use it to say what I want to say about the script. That is a scene that I think if somebody's casually watching the movie, that is the easiest one for them to say, you can cut that out. It's not needed. But I would disagree, because I think that scene is what establishes the deeper connection between Elliot and E.T. That they are not just friends anymore, but that there is a physical connection between them. And that's clearly set up by E.T. drinking the beers and Elliot getting drunk in school. And that's the connection. And I think if you're casually watching, you might think that, E.T. and Elliot smashed some beers before he left. But it's because it kind of jokes about that. But it is that, but also that kiss at the end is because Elliot says he feels what E.T. feels. They don't share thoughts. And so E.T. is watching that dance happen on screen when that happens. And Elliot's feeling those same emotions. And that scene is also not just pivotal for establishing their deeper connection, but also for establishing how E.T. learns to communicate. He spends that day playing on educational devices that teach him spelling and language. And then he's watching TV, which is teaching him emotional cues and language as well. So that scene is, on the surface, a funny scene that kind of maybe you could think would be thrown away. But I think if we were to lose that, we actually lose an incredible establishing moment of the film. And yeah, there's something silly about Elliot and that kiss and that girl who kind of clearly has a crush on him, and we never see her again. But she serves her purpose in that story, in that brief little, it's almost like a bonus chapter that's added later, hurt that little storyline. So I don't think, I'm with Kelsey on this one. I don't think there is a wasted moment in this script. I don't think there's a wasted line. I mean, we have funny lines from Greg at the end when can't we just beam him up, and Elliot goes, this is reality, Greg. Like, it's so funny. We have that. I think the boys' big one for me is the opening D&D scene. The boys' banter feels real. It feels like I just walked into somebody's home in 1982 and they're playing D&D, because they're talking over each other. But it's not random noise. It is like friends having conversations and chat, and it's genuine, and it feels genuine.
One of the freaking quotes that always reminds me of E.T. and pops in my head randomly, Papa Ooh Mau Mau. And he's like, Papa Ooh Mau Mau. Like, that's what he wants to, like, place the order name, like, of the pizza under. It's great. And for some reason, that pops in my head, just in his exact tone, the friend's exact tone, the way he exactly says it. I was like, even that is fun, and, like, it serves a purpose. I don't know.
Yeah. Yes. And I like I've said with the story, we get the setup and the payoff, but like Gertie teaching him be good. And those are E.T.'s parting words to her, be good, which is not just, you get the sense that he didn't just learn the words be good, but by the end he understands the words. And there's just so much. It's a beautifully written script. I think it's fantastic. I think it is absolutely fantastic. So we can score. I mean, I already told you the line. There are quite a few scenes in this movie. Basically, the last hour, I cry. So if I'm picking up lines, I told you the one where he doesn't know how to feel anymore. I think that is fantastic line. But there's also that scene when he tells his brother that E.T. is back. And the brother gets so excited, he jumps up and hits his head on that screen. That was, not ad-libbed, but like that was an accident. The actor actually hit his head on that thing, and it's the cut that like Spielberg liked it. It felt natural, and they used it. But there's just so many great little things, and it is sometimes you pick up on it on repeated watches. I think that is why this movie probably spent 82 weeks in theaters, is because people went back. They went back again. So, yep, I'm a 5 on the script. I'm a 5 on the script.
No surprise, I'm a 5.
I came in with a 4.
I also am a 4.
Alrighty. So after script, we have the acting. David.
Yeah, so acting. The big thing coming in, obviously, is knowing that this is centered around kids, and that is one of the things that they always tell directors to try to avoid is working with kids. I will actually say, for the most part, they feel pretty natural, and I mean, that actually kind of made it easier to watch as you're kind of going through it. Because I think for the most part, the main core are just fine. I don't have any like major issues with any of it. And I think a lot of it was something that's already been brought up. Actually having a puppet for them to work off of makes it where you can tell that they're actually interacting with something. That helps to make it feel more natural for them. I already brought up Dee Wallace as well. I mean, if any like issues I would have with acting would probably be with some of the like minor kid characters, but I mean they're not given a whole lot to work with anyways, so I'm not gonna harp on that. And I even like the government people the more you get to learn about them. Because, I mean, as you frame this whole movie for the Peter Coyote character of Keys, you think he's going to be this villainous guy the whole time. And then just being able to see him, you said earlier, become like the adult Elliot, where he's just so almost like giddy, makes me, it gave me such a heartwarming feel that I was like, that is well done to kind of have all of these people be brought together and how well they all kind of interact where it doesn't feel forced.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the acting, I've already mentioned Dee Wallace as well. I just am biased towards her. Ever since I saw her in 2014, I was like, I freaking love her. But I loved her before. Like, I loved her when she was in this movie. I've seen this a lot of times since I was 7 or 8 years old. So she's just such a great mom character. Even though she's known for being like in horror movies a lot of times, I think of her as a mom almost first because of what she meant to me when I watched E.T. for so long.
And in Critters.
Yeah.
She's a mom in Critters.
Yeah. I liked her in Critters.
I watched Cujo pretty young too, so to me she was like quintessential mom. I don't know. I love her acting, and I think the kids, it's a big thing for me. I'm very picky about kid actors. Some of my favorite films of all time, most of them are, everyone knows me as loving horror movies, and I do, but I also love family-friendly movies, and those, it's like probably my second favorite, if you could call it a genre of its own, but all my favorite ones, it's ones that have children actors who actually feel legitimate, they feel sincere. I feel like a child actor who comes off as sincere on the screen is... it's you can't emphasize how important that is to a family-friendly movie, because the difference between a great one and a horrible one, it's usually the kid actors. Like if you look like at something like I remember I rewatched First Kid. It's a very random movie with Sinbad, I think's in it. I can't remember.
Oh my god.
It's so the kid actor is the worst. Also same thing with Kazam! Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. I mean, the story's not good.
You mean
really...
Shazam?
Okay. No, Kazam. With the
movie that never
right?
existed?
Yeah, Shazam that never existed. Wasn't it with Shaq?
Yeah.
No, it's supposed to be Sinbad?
Yeah. No, Sinbad was supposed to be the Shazam character. Yeah. It is Shaq. But it's very bad. So if you watch any of those today, they do not hold up. Even if you watch Blank Check, which I love Blank Check.
I was going to mention that one.
Yeah, I love Blank Check, but the acting's terrible. The kid actor's terrible. Everybody in it's terrible. I still love it, though. An FBI agent kisses a little kid. It's crazy. You can criticize it till
Government pedo. Government pedo.
You can criticize it till the cows come home. But the kid
like
actors,
I said, government is always the bad guy. So.
They are.
Yes.
But in this film, they just feel so sincere, and obviously you've got the great Drew Barrymore. There's no doubt she would become an amazing actress, like she did. But I even think the older brother, for some reason, he stands out as such a great part of the movie. He just feels like such a real older brother. I never felt like he was acting. It just felt sincere to me. And so I think the acting is incredible, especially when you look at the 3 main kids. I just think they did such a great job. And I do think it helps, like, with what David said, that they had something to act against. It wasn't just, oh, look at this screen. It was a physical puppet that they could look at and believe in. You know, so great for me. Acting's wonderful.
Heck yeah. So, yeah, like you guys said, it all felt very natural. And as a kid who grew up in the 80s, it definitely felt like they were saying and doing, like acting in the way that kids would at that time. Because I know I was swearing up a storm when I was Elliot's age in the 80s. So, yeah, I used to get in a lot of trouble for that. But that's a different story.
Because the movies were a bad influence, man.
Yeah, and I watched a lot of stuff at my at an early age that I shouldn't have, because I was seeing stuff like USA All Night, HBO and Cinemax, because we had it for free somehow through like some kind of issue with the cable system. We weren't supposed to have those channels, but I watched a lot of stuff, and I'm like, yeah, those kids like in that kind of suburban neighborhood probably had satellite and cable, and they were getting to see all kinds of crazy stuff. So I'm like, yeah, okay, that seems pretty real for me. Yeah.
Which her man, what are the checks that divorced dads send to mom every month?
Alimony?
Yeah, her alimony checks must be good, because that is a large house in California for a single mother. Like,
Yeah, but it's the early 80s, though. Keep in mind, early 80s. Different
early
kind
80s,
of market.
She's
different...
getting some good checks, though. Man, we're talking about acting. Yeah, like they said with the special effects, like Drew is so good because she thought E.T. was real. Like, not only she's great, but what you're seeing is genuine child wonder and reaction to that character, and that elevates it. And we didn't mention Henry Thomas, who plays Elliot, who has gone on, he's in like every single project Mike Flanagan has ever done, and he's fantastic as an adult, but I think he was better as a kid.
Yeah.
He was better as a kid. This movie, I feel his pain, man. And he got the part because he made Spielberg cry in his audition. And basically, he remembered what it was like when his dog died. And that's what he brought to the performance as a little kid. And just that of like connecting, that kind of emotional moment is what you're trying to portray. I think that shows why he was so fantastic in that part. I think there's strong, if they had gone another person in this role, I don't think it would be as good. Maybe they could have found another child actor, but he sells so much of this movie. And I think I said Drew Barrymore steals the scene she's in because she's adorable and funny and just kid energy. But for most of the movie to be carried on the back of, what is he, 11, 12, maybe? And you're buying it. You're buying his relationship with this puppet by the last hour of this movie. You're invested. And that is because that kid is so good.
Not only his lines, the way he says the lines, but like the facial reactions he has is so genuine. Just like every emotion that comes across his face, just you believe it, you buy in. He's fantastic. I agree.
So I don't have to keep beating a dead horse on the acting. It's a 5. But I agree. I agree with was it Kelsey or David? I'm sorry. Kid actors make or break your movie. It is a risk every time. And when they're good, like, I don't think there's kid actors who are okay. You're either bad or you're good.
Yeah.
You're either bad or you're good. And I can't complain about any of the kids in this movie. I think I think the older brother is fantastic. He didn't do much with his career. He didn't do much after this. But even then, like, they nailed it.
It's a 5 for me.
Before I give my score, I do have to say, before the credits pulled up, I was telling my wife, I think it's C. Thomas Howell is the little boy. And then I saw that it was Henry Thomas, and then I saw C. Thomas Howell's name come up. I'm like, oh. I was like, how did I get that wrong? And he's still in this movie.
I was going to say, what if he had been Elliot instead? We're like, oh, yeah.
But I did come in with a 4.
Okay, I am definitely sitting at a 5 on this one.
Jonathan's first 5 of the night, right? Yeah, we're here. Okay. The direction. I feel like this is a layup, but all right.
Yeah.
David.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot that I can say. Like, it's just, while watching this, I like pulled up just to kind of see what Spielberg had done by this point, and we've already kind of talked about it in the opening video of this, but it's still just impressive to be this early in your career and be like knocking out movies out of the park. Like, I mean, I'm a big fan of Duel, and I know that one came out a good handful of years before Jaws did, and then just his role was just impressive, and yeah, there's not really much more I can say. He just really knows how to kind of craft a movie, and you can really start to see his thumbprint on, like, even why Poltergeist feels like it's his movie, even if Tobe Hooper's the director. Like, he just, when he produces it, you just have that feel of what you know is his type of movie.
Yes.
For me, there's the first episode of Dawson's Creek. Don't laugh at me. It's one of my guilty pleasures. R.I.P. With Vanderbeek. But, you know, the opening scene, the character of Dawson loves Spielberg. Mm-hmm. And they're watching him and Joey, his neighbor, who then becomes later his love interest, but they're watching E.T. and Dawson wants to be a director. His idol is Spielberg. And so he's going on and on about how Spielberg got robbed for E.T. I think Gandhi won that year. And I agree with Dawson. Spielberg was robbed. It should have been E.T. It's an incredible film. I think the direction is 10 out of 10 amazing. So that's all I have to say. As Dawson was right.
I think, yeah, Gandhi won, but the thing about that was Lord Richard Attenborough, who made Gandhi and considered Spielberg a friend, said that Spielberg deserved it, not him. He went into that award ceremony believing that he was about to lose to E.T., and he was kind of fine with it. He called E.T. an quite extraordinary piece of cinema. Mm-hmm. So there's that little side. Jonathan?
Yeah, everything you guys said.
Okay.
Yeah, favorite topic.
Yep. Like you guys said, this is, I feel like he kind of learned from what he did with Close Encounters of the Third Kind. In many ways, this feels like a spiritual successor to that, because Close Encounters plays for the first 75% of it like a horror movie about aliens. And then at the end, we find out that they're not like a threat. They're nice. And they look more like the classic Greys. And there goes my paranormal interest stuff. But they look like the classic Grey aliens, to the credit of what Kelsey said about this creature design being very different. But you can see a lot of similar techniques and ideas used. But I think from shooting this movie at a kid eye level, I think that's part of why it communicates so strongly to children. Because I think that's just one of those genius moves that's so subtle, you don't realize it. And then you're like, oh, that makes sense. To see this all from a kid's perspective, it makes sense. And like Kelsey mentioned earlier, the lighting in this movie is fantastic. And it might be 100% staged lighting for visual flair, but it looks so good that
it looks great.
There are just scenes in his bedroom with the sun coming through the blinds that I'm like, I don't know if those are lights outside of a stage window. They probably are, but I feel like that's what a room would look like with the lights off. You know, we get that dense light through it. It's so good. Visually, it's stunning. You can see that Spielberg blueprint. I think in a lot of ways, I kind of think of, maybe this is an unfair comparison. I think of Spielberg in the way he writes, like, the setup of a movie a lot like Stephen King's It. Like the kids in that and the kids in this feel very, there's something genuine about them that I think for decades people have tried to copy how Stephen King sets up or not Stephen King, Steven Spielberg sets up kids in a movie. They've tried to copy it a dozen times. Even I think Goonies is often thought of as a Spielberg film because it was pretty sure he produced it.
I think so.
Pretty sure he produced it. Was it Zemeckis who directed?
I think Donner.
Donner. Yep. Donner, because it was Superman. Yep. Richard Donner. But I mean, Zemeckis was responsible for the shot of E.T. hiding in the stuffed animals. That was his idea in this one. But there's just something about kids' movies of that time that you think of Steven Spielberg. And that's because of this one. Because Jaws wasn't a kid-based movie. Close Encounters wasn't a kids-based movie. E.T. was a kids-based movie.
I like this so much more than Close Encounters, too, for some reason. I really like this one so much better.
Yes, I love Close Encounters, but this one, Close Encounters is one where it actually does seem a little long at times, and it's like, okay, pick it up. This one I don't feel that way with. It's just fantastic. The way he uses the camera, the visual storytelling that he uses throughout. We've touched on the script and all that, but there's even just the scene that is stuck out in my notes, and I wrote it down, of I think every shot is visually communicating with the viewer as a good movie should. But there's that scene where E.T. is dragging the toys on a blanket and they're all kind of picked apart. And that conveys so much in that one scene of like, he learned on these toys, he played with these toys, and he started taking them apart to see what else he could learn, and then started building. And you can pick up all of that from one little scene of E.T. dragging something off. And it's just the level of detail in it for being so early in his career is astounding. I love it. I'm a 5 in the direction.
I'm a 4.
I originally had a 4, but this is one I'm definitely bumping up to a 5.
Right. Love when we're persuasive. Kelsey, did you give yours?
I think I said a 5, but
Okay.
if I didn't, it's a 5. No surprise. I just think it's a phenomenal film, and Spielberg, a lot of Spielberg films I like, but this one is just epic. I think he did a great job. I can't think of anything I would criticize that he would need to do better. So,
precisely. All right, It Factor. This is a fun one. Fun one.
Probably
I'm
also
excited
the
for this one.
easiest one for me to grade. Like, I'm pretty sure I knew what my answer was before I even started watching this. Because, I mean, this is just referenced so much. I mean, Critters got brought up. There's definitely a moment in that movie where a kite attacks a E.T. doll. I remember watching Airplane 2, where there is a gag where a creature with long fingers tries to phone home and is told what it's going to cost to call collect and hangs up the phone. This was everywhere. This one, there's the horrible video game that was made for Atari that is just of lore by itself. This was, like I said, everywhere. This movie just transcended, like, the cultural whole thing like that. Is just impressive to be able to do something like this, and I'm pretty sure this was used in a lot of like commercials around that era as well.
Oh yeah.
I just think the imagery of the film is iconic, and like David said, there's there's something that is just, everyone knows what you're referencing. That's kind of hard to replicate. I can't think of a lot of modern movies where you could just mention a scene like, a bike going across the moon and know what that is from. And I think it's become beloved for people of different generations too. So I was not born when this was released in the theaters. I was born in 89. Here's a picture of me. For those who can't
89
see.
babies.
Yeah, 89. So this is me at Christmas, I think 1997. I'm wearing my E.T. shirt. I still have this shirt. There's holes in it though, so
Awesome.
I don't wear it anymore. But I'm also got rollerblades that year. But anyway, yeah, E.T. So I love this movie. This is when I was like 7 or 8 years old. So again, about 15 years after it was released, other kids in other decades still discovering it. And in 2016, there's a book I love called My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. Yeah. It is so good. So it's set in the 80s, and the two main characters, it's really a story about friendship. It's not just a story about, like, possession. You could probably get that from the exorcism title, that possession's involved. But it's really more about friendship, and the two main characters bond over their love of E.T. One of the characters has an E.T.-themed birthday party and is just obsessed with E.T. and wants to go watch E.T. And it's, like, such a big part of the book and a big part of their friendship. It's just like even a book in 2016 that references this, it's not afraid that people won't know what they're talking about or whatever. It's like, it's still relevant. And although now that's 10 years ago, which is crazy, 2016 is 10 years ago, but I even think today, you mention it to a little kid and they won't be confused. They'll eventually, if they're of a certain age, will know what you're talking about. And that is special, and only a few movies can do that.
Yeah.
So this movie definitely had a huge impact, especially in the 80s, more so than anything else. And like you guys already said, with how much runtime it had in the theaters, I mean, what you guys were like, what is it, 82 weeks?
82 weeks in the theater.
No other movie that I've ever heard of had such a long run in the theaters ever. So, I mean, that in itself is epic. But what came after, as far as what's inspired between other feel-good alien flicks, such as, like, kind of bogus ripoff like Mac and Me, or like Flight of the Navigator.
I just watched that for the first time and it was incredible. Not as good as
Flight of the Navigator. Love that movie.
Not as good as E.T., but I still loved it. I gave it like 4.5 stars. I just watched it for the first time this month, and I was like, how did I not see this? But you could definitely see like the E.T. imprints on it. But it's such another great kid actor. That kid actor freaking killed in that movie.
Nailed it. Absolutely. So films like that, and then focusing on cast like of kid actors like Stand By Me. And how well that worked out, you know, once you find the right kind of child actors who can really deliver on it, that was fantastic. And then even like mocking stuff like Mad Magazine, like even E.T. got featured in there, just like they did with Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and the way they made fun of that was a huge impact as well. And one last thing here. So for our viewers and listeners out there, Tim and I went to art school together out in the northwest burbs of Chicago at one of the Art Institute schools. And we took Type 1 together, and one of our projects was we had to create our own font based on a major film. And so I chose E.T. And so if this will let me do it, I've never done the screen share on this before. Let's see here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to bring that in.
I got it.
I'll add it. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, you do. I hit a button.
There we go.
All right, so that's pretty much it right there. A heartwarming tale of a boy and his alcoholic transsexual alien. Comes with his beer can, his own dress, you know. So you see there, I got all the details in there.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Now with beer chugging action and cigarette lighting finger.
That's incredible.
And this was the font that I came up, my ET font. And I got an A on that project, so, you know. So it's long-lasting effects on that, and gotta love it. So I just wanted to share that with everybody.
That's so cool. I'm obsessed with that, Jonathan. You killed it. You definitely deserved a great grade for that.
Yeah, for sure.
I love the action figure look of...
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, Jonathan, was that it for If Factor?
That's it for me. Yep.
All right, so for If Factor, yeah, we've already said 82 weeks in the theater. You're lucky to be in the theater for 4 weeks at this point. Mm-hmm. I was looking to see Project Hail Mary screenings next weekend so I can take my parents. It's already out.
What? Really?
And they extended its run, but it's already out. Yes. So that's insane to me. That's something that, like, as somebody who started going and being aware of the theatrical experience in the 2000s, I can't comprehend that they used to keep movies for a year at a time. That blows my mind. Amazing. That's huge. It was the highest grossing movie of all time until Steven Spielberg broke his own record with Jurassic Park. Like,
Nice.
it just was the definition of success. Many people would say it was robbed of the Academy for Best Picture that year. Apparently even the director of the movie that won says it was robbed of it, because it was unlike, there's science fiction and then there's E.T. Like, it transcends science fiction. I think it transcends coming of age stories. Like, we don't get movies like this anymore. When was the last time we saw a coming of age tale that could stand up to E.T., The Goonies, Stand By Me, movies like that? And I understand that, like, my parents were super conservative. I wasn't allowed to watch a whole lot. And for them, a lot of these movies, too much language, too much violence, something like that. But that's missing the incredible stories and the lessons that are taught but not preached. They're not hammered down your throat, but the things that you can just learn from watching them. And with proper guidance and discussions around these movies, I want to raise my kids on E.T. before I raise my kids on anything else. Watch this movie. And we haven't talked about it, but Stranger Things most likely would not exist without E.T.
Yeah.
That's fair to say.
Tell me those bike scenes don't remind you. I'm watching this and I'm like, that's Stranger Things. Like, Stranger Things is yes, it's an 80s nostalgia bait, but it's kind of specifically Spielberg 80s nostalgia bait.
It is.
It really is. And they do a nice
D&D focus, yeah.
Even the D&D. And they do a nice job. Mm-hmm. I enjoy Stranger Things, but there is something so timeless about E.T. that it will, well, particularly because it ends well. Stranger Things did not end all that well.
Sean said Stranger Things did E.T. better than E.T. I was like, what?
Oh, what? Come on, man.
I'm sorry, Sean. I'm like reading your whole review, and I love you. I swear, I do. I just think I love the different opinions. I love that.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what we try to celebrate here. That's why David had never seen it, and I was like, definitely gotta join us on this one.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other cultural. I mean, I said at the beginning, this was my dad's favorite movie that I remember growing up. So, like, I remember my dad in his 30s in the 90s, this was his favorite movie. And it did scare the poop out of me as a kid, but I was really young when I saw it. So it did. And I was like, I don't know if I want to experience that movie again. Now, as an adult, I think it's fantastic. And I want to show kids someday. I want, before you watch, I got into a Facebook argument with a kid I used to go to church with because he's a cool kid.
So cool.
In case he watches this, Taryn, I love you. But he's a huge Stranger Things fan, and he posted something, and I was like, how can you say blah 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 about without acknowledging the fantastic inspirations? It borrows from E.T., it borrows from all these things. He's like, well, I've never seen those. And I was like,
the what?
What? You love Stranger Things, but you've never seen E.T.? You gotta fix this right now. Watch it. So that's just this movie has such an impact years after its release that we have Stranger Things, most likely because of this movie, by extension, The Goonies. Those 80s coming-of-age films, and I think those 80s coming-of-age films, I don't know of one that was released prior to E.T. I think this was the first. It was the first of telling those tales about kids that adults could also enjoy. And that's what we're missing now. I feel like we get great kids movies, great adult movies. We don't have a movie that brings parents and children together. Yeah. That's also why I say check out Hail Mary. There's no kids in it, but it's got humor and stuff that kids can have a good time with it. It fits this.
It's an art to make a movie that would appeal to kids and adults. I mean, I had TV in the 90s that did that very well. Like Nickelodeon was so good at that. But that was more of like
Batman the animated series.
Oh yeah, Batman the animated series. That's like peak amazing freaking cartoon 90s glory. But also just there was some 90s stuff that shouldn't have been for kids, but it was. Like Ren and Stimpy, my dad
yes.
loved it. Yeah. But today, like something that's more pure, like E.T., even though it did have some crazy language, which it seems so tame now. To me, I'm just like, penis breath, it's not that big a deal. But apparently, I guess it would be a big deal if you were like worried about your kids saying it. So I guess that makes sense. But I just
those
think
douchebags.
It's very special and it's hard to replicate because again, you need a lot of things to work perfectly, and it just so happens that everything just perfectly lined up and it all works. But sometimes the pieces just don't fit together. That's why we don't get a lot of movies like that anymore, where just the stars align and everything is just perfect. But before we move on, I want to, David, like, was it weird watching it now? What was it like to watch it for the first time? Was it surreal? I mean, you said you were familiar with it already, but did that have like a lot of impact on your prior opinions to before and to after?
It's kind of interesting when you watch a movie like this. There's always that kind of like fear, like, am I gonna like this, or is it not gonna like work? And
that was my fear waiting to check your score. I was like, whoa.
But what really kind of watching it now, after knowing so many just little pieces of it together, like, and then putting it all together, it makes those things make more sense. And I think now, like, watching, like, I know like my home theater when I was like in like high school, they would have the scene where like Elliot like is laughing when he figures out that like E.T. talks. Like, if I see that now, I'll be like, oh, like, that means more to me now. Like, I know what, like, led up to that and, like, what happens after. Or, like, I've seen the scene where Drew Barrymore had, like, started screaming. Or, like, when she dresses E.T. up like the, like, little old lady. That stuff, I think, now will hit me more because I can understand just the context around it outside of just, like, oh, E.T.'s dressed like a little old lady there and just kind of hanging out.
What did they hear?
She's dressed up like the lady who played her.
But what did she hang the earrings off of if the dude doesn't have ears? Did she just like stab him in his head or something? Like, how are those attached? I don't get
He was
that.
wearing a hat. He was wearing a hat, so maybe.
Well, no, they took the hat off and he still got the earring on. I'm like, how?
Tape. I'll have to look at it closer next time.
I didn't pay attention to that. That's so funny.
So when it comes to the E factor, I think. So far, I'm not entirely sure. I would have to go back and check the record. One other movie has had a 5 out of 5 it factor for me, and that was The Mummy, from the Brendan Fraser Mummy movie, because that movie was massive in every sense of the word. And while this one didn't inspire sequels, which is something I would consider part of the it factor, 82 weeks in theaters blows my mind. Highest grossing movie. I don't know how you couldn't say this movie didn't have a cultural significance. I think it changed the way kids' movies were made for the entire decade. From the 80s and 90s, this impacted how every kids' movie was going to be made from there on out. So this was a 5, even though it didn't inspire sequels, and thank God they never made one.
It's a 5 for me, no surprise, but I don't know. I would never get tired of watching this movie, and I think it is important, and the world would be a sadder place if it didn't exist, and I think that is a big factor of why something would deserve a 5 for the it factor. Just the world wouldn't be the same without it, so I'm glad it exists.
Yeah, I mean, echoing a lot of this stuff. Yeah, it's a 5.
Sweet. Originally, I was at a 3, but I didn't know about how long it spent in the theater. And that just, that definitely was a brain rip. So I'm sitting at a 4 now on that.
Okay. Sitting at a 4. All right, we are on the final. I have your final scores all tallied up, so I'll shoot those to you in the messages so you can read them off if you want. Kelsey, yours isn't hard.
I know. Neither is yours.
No,
I wonder if she enjoyed this movie.
So we'll go through, give your final thoughts on it, your enjoyment level out of 10. Where are you at on, this is kind of our traditional when people score movies. This is the score. So that's where we're at. So final thoughts on this movie and where you landed.
I will kick us off then. Yeah, I'm glad I finally watched this movie. Yeah, this is definitely one that it lives up to me, that the hype around it definitely is fitting. I'm glad now that I can kind of piece it all together. And I mean, this is one I'll definitely show my daughter when she stops pretty much only watching cartoon movies, and be one that I would definitely transition her over, especially as a horror movie fan. This would be one that I would like to show her just to kind of get her head around like practical effects, just to kind of show that type of thing, where it would be something where, I mean, as a kid, I could see this spooking her potentially, kind of the same way as you're talking about, just because there are those things that if you haven't experienced anything scarier, this could be scary. So I definitely understand that. But yeah, I really had a blast with this, and my wife had watched it when she was growing up, but she probably hadn't seen it, kind of what a lot of you had said, per probably 20, 30 years. And I mean, she had a good time watching it, and that she was getting tired, but was like, no, I have to power through, I have to finish to see how, I mean, she knows how it ends, but how she wanted to make sure she got to the ending because she started it. But I ended up bumping my score. Originally going to come in at an 8, but I'm going to bump that up to a 9.
Ooh, bumping it up to 9 again, man.
For me, it's a 10 out of 10, which again is not surprising, but you know what's funny that I did just realize during our discussion here? So, I've always known I'm a fan of E.T., but I'm a newer reader, so I've only started reading since COVID times. I discovered, hey, there's actually books out there that I like and enjoy. You don't have to just read for schoolwork. You could read for fun, and it's, like, not horrible. So, since I've been a big reader, one of my favorite subgenres is coming-of-age stories. And now I'm thinking, is it because of E.T.? Is it because I really gravitate towards those type of stories? Like, those resonate with me a lot. So my favorite book of all time is a coming of age. It's not horror at all. People compare it to it, but I don't think it's fair.
Is it Robert McCammon?
It is. It's Boy's Life. So it is a coming of age. It is beautiful. And there is a space movie referenced in the book, but it's not E.T. It's older because it takes place, like, I think in the 60s, 50s or 60s. And so the space movie they are talking about would be one that they would see at, like, the Dollar Theater. I can't even remember the exact movie, but it comes to play later in the story. It has more meaning to it, the reference. But I just think maybe this started my love of coming of age, so it deserves a 10. It's helped shape me into who I am, and I'm wearing E.T. socks. I showed everyone before we started filming, but believe me, I'm wearing them, and they're awesome.
For me, like I said earlier at the start, I haven't seen this movie since I was a kid back in the 80s. So it's not something that I've ever really thought about watching again until now. So it's not as impactful for me as for other people. I mean, I like it, but it's not something I'm worried about watching again and again. But I still like the movie a lot, and it still touches in the feels. So for me, I'm at a 7 on it.
Okay. So before I give some, I'm just on the IMDb trivia page and wanted to tell you some things. The one thing I did see from the novelization of E.T. that I wanted to mention is that I think it says he was like 1 million years old.
What?
So E.T. was like a super old figure, because they kind of hints in the movie that Elliot views him as a kid. So that's something that I thought was pretty cool. When Elliot insults Michael and calls him, "It's nothing like that penis breath," Wallace's laughter was genuine because that was not in the script.
I love that.
So that was a genuine reaction. Where's the other one? Man, I had a couple of good ones, and now I'm just stalling on them. Yes, according to the film's novelization, E.T. is over 10 million years old, so that's curious.
Damn.
But the filmmakers had requested that M&Ms be used to lure E.T. The Mars company denied the request because E.T. was too ugly. So they didn't.
What?
They thought
How
E.T.
dare
was too
them.
ugly and didn't use him.
That's dopey as hell.
sure they regret
Spielberg
that.
has stated
Right.
that E.T. is a plant-like creature. That's his basis. And it was the longest theatrical run ever for an American movie. The record is only beat by a Hindi film, which has had continuous running at least one show a day since 1995, which that's not fair.
Yeah.
That's not fair. That's cheating. The doctors and the nurses who worked on E.T. at the end are real doctors and nurses because Spielberg didn't think actors could convey the urgency and the drama of the scene as well as actual doctors and nurses could. So I'll stop reading that and tell you I'm a 10 out of 10 on this one. I waited 30 years to watch this movie again because I was traumatized by it as a kid. And I was traumatized because I loved E.T. so much that when the government came and he died, it impacted me as a kid. And it was so tragic. And I don't even know if as a kid I made it past the government showing up, I don't know if that was it for me or not, because I don't remember, like, it's a sad ending, but it's also a happy ending. And this is just a movie. This is a movie that encapsulates what a movie should be. This is what I want out of a movie experience. Yes, do I love... Jonathan loves to give me a hard time because I love that crappy 80s movie, State Park or Heavy Metal Summer. And it's just a cheesy, dumb comedy at a state park in the 80s. I love that. It's fun. This is what cinema can be. This is the heights of what... There's a reason this is on the list of 100 greatest films ever made. And I think it would be a shame if it ever came off of that, because even today, like, Project Hail Mary came out, and I would probably give Project Hail Mary a pretty similar score because I loved every bit of it. But it reminded me of E.T. And I can't say that about E.T. E.T. doesn't remind me of something before E.T. E.T. was the foundation for a lot of what came after it. And outside, Jaws set up Spielberg's career. E.T. solidified his career, that he was going to be around for a while. Jaws wasn't a one-off. So I'm a 10 out of 10. I think there's a reason we're kicking off the greats with E.T. and Spielberg. We could have picked any of his movies. We could have picked Schindler's List.
I've only seen it once. It's too powerful.
It's sad, dude.
It is sad.
It
It's
hurts.
really sad.
That's a rough conversation. Saving Private
Jaws would have
Ryan.
been fun, but this has so much more emotion, though. I don't know.
I want to do Jaws probably for a creature feature segment because it is the perfect creature feature.
It is. It really is. There's not been one as good.
No, and people argue it's a foundational slasher film too. People argue that because it follows the formula. But anyways, yeah, I'm a 10 out of 10. So final scores, we'll get our average in. I got my calculator ready. So who's got their final score ready?
I got mine.
Yeah, I got mine too.
With my updates, I'm at a 39.
I was at a 45.
50. Come on. And you guys probably think I'm giving 50 to every movie. I'm not. I really am not. This is one of my all-time favorites.
Well, wait a second, Kelsey. I think. Yeah, you didn't give Willow a 50.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I gave it like a 40-something, right?
It was a 41. Yeah, it was a
see?
41. See? Yeah, you're
I'm
not
not
handing
always
out.
giving it crazy ratings.
Nope.
But Willow's a favorite too, but it's not an all-time
Yes.
favorite.
Willow's got some flaws. Yep. All right, Jonathan, what were you?
Same with my updates, I'm a 39.
Okay, you are a 39. I am no surprise. I'm giving it per scores all the time. I'm a 50 out of 50. Yeah, so dividing that by 4, that brings us to a 46 out of 50 or 4.5 stars. This is one of the times I think the average is wrong. But that's fine. Because this is one I do think is a perfect film. I have no complaints about any part of this film, as we've seen by this whole stream. So that's where we're at. 4.5 out of 5 stars. Why don't we go through? That wraps up our first episode of The Greats. Like I said, the second one is we're doing The Breakfast Club, talking about The Breakfast Club and why that movie was so great. Even getting out of the Pretty in Pink and moving to The Breakfast Club, and why John Hughes is a legend, absolute legend. Home Alone, John Hughes film. So
Home Alone. Like if you were talking Home Alone, call me. Like
like John Williams. We forget John Williams did the Home Alone theme. You forget that Home Alone is also a John Hughes film.
Yep.
The guy who did I hate that Pretty in Pink is what he's probably most known for. I hate that because
Ferris Bueller. Like if you're gonna do Ferris Bueller, that's another favorite of mine.
Planes, and Automobiles. My wife hates the time between Halloween and Thanksgiving because I watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles like on repeat. I love it.
He wrote that for John Candy, apparently.
It's so good. And the John Candy documentary on Amazon.
I just watched it.
I Like Me.
I want to watch it. I haven't seen it.
I liked it a lot. I cried.
I sobbed through like the first 10 minutes, and then I sobbed through the last 10 minutes. It's great. It's a great film.
It's great, yeah.
It is really, really good. It is really good. But yeah, that's what we got. Kelsey, why don't you tell people what you got going on, where they can find you and all that, and then we'll have David go.
Clearly, I love nostalgia. If you want to find me, my YouTube channel is Kelsey's Nostalgic Life. And you can find me at a different name on Instagram at Super Kicking It with a G. It sounds like you would abbreviate it, but Super Kicking It. And
it's always fun when I'm trying to tag you and I type in something different every time, but it always remembers it's you. So
I have a sentimental attachment to it because I used to have a wrestling podcast, so it's a wrestling reference. So please excuse it. But if you want to find me, I'm pretty active on Instagram, and I'm trying to be active as I can on YouTube. I love nostalgia. I run a Halloween event every year. It's an online event, free. Anybody can join in. It's very accessible. It's basically just an excuse to get together with like-minded people on the internet, have an excuse to read thematic things. We do a Halloween one, and we do a nostalgic one, which is going on right now. It's almost over, and I'm sad. But I love it because it gave me excuses to watch great movies like E.T. and discover new, to me, movies that are amazing, like Flight of the Navigator. So if you're looking for like a nostalgic friend, check out my channel. You might like it. I don't know.
Do it. You've got so much going on. It is awesome. It is awesome.
Thank you.
Right,
Thanks
David.
for having me. I
Yes.
appreciate you guys. I love you guys.
Yeah, I do my podcast, Journey with a Cinephile. I mostly focus on horror movies, but I will also kind of incorporate in like true crime or like drama, I guess like more genre type stuff as I kind of go along. If I feel like it kind of warrants that, I want to do a review and include it on there to kind of pad my numbers. But you can find my podcast anywhere that you can find podcasts. I also do it on, I put it up on YouTube as well. But yeah, it's Journey with a Cinephile, a horror movie podcast.
Love it. And as I've said many times, you're so prolific. I wish I could watch as many movies as you do, but lately my wife has been on a movie kick. So, and she's normally not. She is someone who says she watches a movie once in her life and she's good. And which was why we went to see Project Hail Mary, and I took her and I was like, you like The Martian? Let's go see this one. And the next day she said, you want to go see it on like the IMAX the next day? And I was like, she wants to see it twice in a row?
Wow.
Okay, let's go. And then she wanted to see Michael this weekend. So like she's been on a movie kick. So
awesome.
I've been enjoying it while it's happening. Yep. Jonathan, you want to say anything?
Mephisto Monkey on Instagram, Monkee. Do a lot of music stuff lately. Been posting a lot of my vinyl record things. If you guys like to see some different experimental music and other classics and awesomeness, I also got a channel on YouTube. But find it Jonathan and my last name Kuzyk. See some vocal covers if you want to hear me sing some stuff, whatever. Yeah.
Yep. You have an eclectic music taste. That is
Oh
for sure.
yeah.
That is for sure. All right, so thanks for hanging out with us on The Greats. Let us know what you thought of The Greats in the chat below. I don't think I'm wrong about ET, but you can tell me if you think you are. Just do it by actually submitting the score like we asked. Go through the process, submit the score, be part of the average. We did record this one ahead of time, so we couldn't have the live results in it. But normally we do this live, and we want you hanging out in the chat and commenting with us. Next one, though, as I've said, I think we have 2 more this year. We have Breakfast Club next, and then Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, which I'm debating if I might change it to a different Hitchcock film.
Oh.
But I don't think I can because Psycho's perfect. So anyways, yeah, that's what we've got for you this time. And we will see you. We'll be back in 2 weeks with, I think we're doing the raid, right, Jonathan?
Yeah.
I think we have the raid in 2 weeks. So we're starting our action movie segment next. So thanks for hanging out with us, guys.